Hello and welcome to Arnie's Short Stories. I hope you enjoy this story. I'm going to try and upload a new story each day. The Phantom Lovers of Godshill. The mist curled low over the village of Godshill, creeping between the thatched roofs and twining around the spire of All Saints' Church. Holly Arnold had read the legends before she arrived at tales of two lovers doomed to roam the village as restless spirits. But legends had a way of softening over time, reducing terror to whispers. The truth, she soon discovered, was far more horrifying. Holly had always been drawn to the supernatural, but this case was unlike any she had encountered. The villagers spoke in hushed voices, glancing over their shoulders as they recounted the tale. Two souls forever divided. Eleanor, a humble seamstress, and Thomas, a nobleman's son, had once loved each other against the wishes of their families. When Thomas was sent away to wed another, Eleanor was left heartbroken, dying alone in the very churchyard Holly now stood in. Thomas, upon learning of her death, defied his father's command and returned only to meet his own untimely end in a hunting accident near the edge of the village. Their spirits, it was said, could never reunite. Eleanor's sobs echoed through the night, a weeping presence that chilled bones and shattered glass. Thomas's furious cries could be heard in the wind, rattling shutters and shaking doors. It was their torment, their inability to find one another even in death, that kept the village trapped in perpetual fear. Holly set up camp inside the church, her equipment spread across the pews. She had come prepared: EVP recorders, EMF detectors, and a handful of protection charms that had, in the past, kept her safe. The first night was uneventful. The second, the air itself seemed to breathe with unseen entities. Cold fingers brushed against her neck. The whispering, indistinct but urgent, quilled through the nave. It was on the third night that she saw Eleanor. The figure stood by the altar, translucent yet agonizingly real. Dark curls framed a face streaked with spectral tears. Her lips moved in silent prayer, her hands clutching at nothing. And then the temperature plummeted. The church door was slammed shut. A guttural scream, raw with rage, reverberated through the stone walls. Thomas was near. Holly barely had time to react before the pews began to slide, crashing into each other as if unseen hands sought to obliterate everything in their path. She threw herself to the ground, shielding her head as the force of Thomas's wrath tore through the church. Eleanor reached for him, but an unseen force yanked her back, dragging her spectral form toward the great wooden doors. They could see each other, but something was keeping them apart. Holly scrambled to her feet, heart pounding. She had dealt with hauntings before, but never a force so determined to maintain its grip on the dead. She shouted into the darkness, demanding the spirits reveal themselves. The wind screamed through the broken stained glass, carrying with it fragments of a past long buried. It wasn't fate that kept them apart. It was something much older, something malevolent. Digging into the church archives, Holly uncovered records that had long been forgotten. An old priest, centuries ago, had condemned Eleanor and Thomas as sinners, ensuring that even in death they would never reunite. He had bound their souls to separate realms, tethering them to the land, but never to each other. There was only one way to break the curse. Standing at the altar, Holly whispered an incantation, a reversal of the priest's cruel decree. The air thickened, the walls trembled, and then silence. A shadow moved in the rafters. A sickening whisper slithered through the air, words in an ancient tongue Holly could not understand. The church groaned, its very foundations rattling as if something deep beneath the earth had been disturbed. Then came the laughter, a cruel, mocking sound that sent ice through Holly's veins. The malevolent presence was real, and it did not want the curse broken. Holly gritted her teeth, pressing forward despite the overwhelming force pushing against her. Her hands shook as she lifted the old book, the words blurring in her vision. A gust of wind tore through the nave, flipping the pages wildly. Eleanor's ghost screamed, her body writhing as though invisible chains held her in place. Thomas bellowed in agony, his spectral form flickering like candlelight in a storm. A figure emerged from the darkness. Clad in rotting priestly vestments, its eyes sunk in pits of shadow, it loomed over the altar, watching Holly with unholy delight. The air reeked of decay. Holly felt a cold pressure against her chest, as though unseen fingers were trying to crush her lungs. She had to finish the ritual. Summoning all her strength, she shouted the final words of the incantation. The church erupted in blinding light. The spectre shrieked, its form unraveling like smoke caught in the wind. Alina and Thomas, hands clasped at last, gazed at one another with tears in their spectral eyes before vanishing into the light. And then silence. The village of Godshill knew peace once more, and Holly, as she packed her things, felt the weight of unseen eyes watching her with gratitude. She had set them free. But as she left the church, the distant echo of laughter followed her, whispering promises that the darkness had not been vanquished entirely. Not yet. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed this story. Please don't forget to like, and even better, like and subscribe. Thank you very much, and I hope you have had a great day.